here comes an ideology. You know, the LGBT, what's called the LGBTQ ideology, all right? And following pretty much on the heels of that one, there is now what they are calling the child-free ideology. I wanted to hear your thoughts on what's happening there.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. I think it's paramount that we discuss it. In fact, I'm going to start answering that question. When I got here, and this was not a person who I would say this is just a Kenyan citizen, so they're not necessarily in the know. But when I went to talk to more people who were in the know, the more I got about this story, the more disturbing it became. And the reason it's so disturbing for me, it's one of the issues that I've been fighting since the 90s. It was probably one of the early voices in modern times really taking an issue with this. There's a school in Kenya, a girls' school, a boarding school. And after having talked to multiple people, this is the story that I've got now from multiple different people who are in the know. In that boarding school, I think it held up to 160 girls or something of that nature. They had an LGBT group of girls, a bunch of lesbian female that practicing lesbianism. They became angry with the girls in the school because they would not accept LGBT. They would not participate. They would, I don't know if they ridiculed them, but whatever the case may be, they would not accept it. From what I understand, these girls, LGBT, involved in this European behavior, Euro-Asiatic behavior, came into their rooms, into the dorm, put it on fire, walked outside, locked the doors behind them, and burned 16 of them alive. Some of them escaped because they would not accept this European imposition. So when we talk about extreme cultural warfare, we call it imposition. You're going to impose the darkest, most evil, heinous of all the dispositions of the European. The most foreign of the practices is this thing we call homophilia, or homosexuality, or pedophilia. It is so dark, it is very much like European imperialism. If you won't accept our right to control and dominate you, we will burn you alive. That's the spirit of this type of wickedness. And that has happened, if I'm correct, and if the story is accurate, that's happened here. And what they're telling me is that's not the only case in terms of LGBT groups of girls. They're saying this thing is spreading. And I'm gonna get to the question, but I just want to put it into a context. We're not talking about a problem that we don't have to stand up and face. And I want people to understand the terms. From the LGBT perspective, I want the Africans to hear this. The ones that are opening themselves up to this filth and indecency, particularly our women. I'm not blaming them because as men, we're supposed to protect their minds. You talked about that earlier, the mental. We're not protecting them, obviously, because wherever you go, and I'm getting back to this, but I want to talk about the terms of this engagement. This is important. I'm in a store where I'm staying in Nairobi. I go in there, in a winery, and there's a guy, a Kenyan, running it with lipstick, a guy with lipstick and women's shoes, boldly walking around as a homophile. And as soon as he walks in, all the Kenyan women give him a hug that work there, and he's just flip-flopping it around. And I'm like, do you understand how many asses of little boys have to be penetrated for that type of behavior? And for the black woman to accept it, what you are sentencing your sons to? This is the condition we're in now. I'm riding down the street coming the way here. There's a huge billboard. And I understand how it's done, is psychological warfare. The billboard has a little black boy. I think it's on Thika Road. He's a little black boy. I think it's a boy. I'm not exactly certain. He has either lipstick or gloss on, in a pose like a female, smiling, skinning, and grinning, and it's talking about same rights. So they're putting in the psychological effeminization, the buck breaking, the sexual torture and destruction of black manhood right in Kenya. Now, here's the thing. We don't fight over complexion, but the point being, this is Kenya. The average complexion is darker than mine. So it's a dark-skinned people. We a dark-skinned race. I mean, it's a dark-skinned place. He's super light-skinned, which again, we talking about the self-hatred. So he's light, but then he's not even a he. I don't know if it's a he or she. But they're doing this to our children. At the same time, I'm going into a store where this is being allowed. What are they doing? It's imposition. These are the terms. If you don't accept our LGBT, we'll burn your daughters alive. I want people to hear what I'm saying. Notice you're not hearing this echoed. Why? Because if it was a group of normal Africans and we said these LGBT, we're not going to tolerate it, and they burn them alive, it will be all over the news. Oh, the hatred for the LGB. Oh, this is uncivilized. Even though it's un-African, we never said we're going to accept it and we're not going to accept it. So that will be everywhere. But yet, I have yet to hear this story. And when you do hear it, it's presented in the news as if we don't know what happened, who did it and why, if arson occurred or if the place burned down. No, you won't tell us that the LGBT have stepped on the African continent and said, listen, you all have been the last stance on the planet. People don't realize this. This is what I do. One of my main sources of study, areas of study. The number one community around the planet that stands firmly against homosexuality and pedophilia, even as much as it's been penetrating, it's not Islam. That is not true. It's black people in Islam. It is not Christianity. It is black people in Christianity. It's not America. It's the black people who are still standing in America. And on the African continent, it's obvious. The African countries are saying, even corrupt leaders in Africa. You got one, even the corrupt leaders. And we got some now. I got to call it real. We just saw what happened. I got to call it what it is. I know people are not going to like to hear it, but Macron, I wouldn't even intend to go here. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go ahead and tell the truth. Why wasn't he arrested when he came? Isn't it illegal to be a homosexual in Kenya? Is that still the law? Then why wasn't he arrested when he came? First of all, why was he here? If France is attacking the Sahel and killing black folks and funding the destruction of our brothers and sisters there, isn't it treasonous for any other African in any country to let them land their feet here? And even if you didn't see that because you can't prove that they're doing that, you know that he's gay. You know that he's a homophile. It's well known. I've talked to people. We don't like to say it. Macron is homosexual. We all know that. He's a homophile. African people know that.
But he has a wife standing next to him.
Whatever he has standing next to him, that doesn't. Remember, what makes you a homophile is not if you're with a woman, it's if you're a male with a male. So even if you're with a woman, if you're with a male, you're still a homophile. So since we know that, and I've talked to people in every country, I don't find any country where people don't know it. They say, yeah, we all know that. But no buts. You said you got a law. If I break the law, if I go out here and stab somebody, am I going to get locked up? Okay. If it's illegal, he shouldn't be able to step his feet on the African continent. And I'm saying that to every country on the African continent. If you got that law, then stand on the law. I'm saying that why? Because him in Botswana legalizing homosexuality, what does that represent? It's the thumbing up and representation of confirming that it's okay. You can come and burn our little girls alive because they say, no, I'm going to remain an African. I want you to think. That's why I want everybody.
Until recently, when Donald Trump came in, it was the policy of the United States to support these kinds of group under the whole umbrella of diversity.
Yeah.
So why is it important that, so important that your government would want to to support that kind of ideology?
I'm going to say the government in the country I live, I can't say my government because my government, I was fired from my job. The reason I was fired from my job, the number one outspoken person in America against homophilia, homosexuality, and pedophilia since the 1990s is myself. Even as I had a government job, by day I got the money to finance the liberation, and at night I was saying this filth and indecency is unacceptable. And this is a part that nobody talks about. Yes, it is being pushed under the guise of America. But when you look behind it, who's financing and doing it, it's not America. It's the people who've overthrown America. It's the people in Europe. It's a particular group who we won't say because I want to make sure that you can keep this up online. It's the group that's the real problem. This group has a biblical, their Bible, the Talmud, their belief system tells them that this behavior not only is appropriate, but they have a flag. It was called the Jewish Autonomous Oblast. That's just history. You go look at the flag, go look it up. What we now call the LGBT flag is the Jewish Autonomous Oblast flag. They took the middle of their flag out, removed one of the blue pieces. That flag represents not a physical nation, but the spiritual conquest of planet Earth. When we make the people of this planet, see, this one, even though they're targeting black people, we look at it, why are they targeting us? We don't realize it's actually different. They targeted the whole world and won. There's only one people who are still fighting. See, we didn't get that. We're the last holdout. They're saying once the people of the world say male with male, female with female, and that is the way, once we've got them to accept it, we have won. We measure it differently. As black people, we think who runs the government is one, who has the military as one. They don't view it that way. If they get you as a male, even if you're the president, a woman female president, and you'll be with someone of the same gender, you don't understand the basic dialectical law of complements, male, female, and what that means, then we've already won. For their thing, they've won, because if you'll bend over for that, a man who won't protect his own, he will not protect his nation. He won't protect his women. He won't protect his children. They have won. The last group, the way it is measured on the planet, that has laws against this behavior and will enforce those laws. If you look on the map, I saw the map from 2023, the LGBT map. They're mapping it out. Who are the last ones left? Right here along, this was in 2023, right along the east coast of the African continent where life began. Because what? Because the core value, see, you asking, why are they doing this? What is this coming? Because if you want to depopulate the planet, they're saying, we're not playing games. Yeah, the poison, yeah, that works. But what is the core? You want to depopulate? Stop the man from valuing the woman. Stop the woman from longing for the love for a man. If you do that, you won. Because everything after that is just the cherry on top. And so the reason it's such a hard fight against African people now, even me, when I started fighting this in the 90s, I didn't know this. I just said, why are they attacking us? No. They defeated the entire planet. We're the last holdout, which is why they keep coming with us and keep pushing, because once they've done that, the entire world has said, this is normal behavior.
Now, that's interesting because the Old Testament, a large segment of which basically makes up the Talmud, has the story of Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yes.
So,
which is perfect. Because I'm going to tell you something. One thing I learned, when we were Africans and they came with those guns, we hated guns. Why? Because they were using the guns to kill us. But some African realized at one point, you know what? That's just metal formulated into something. If I take this and point it that direction, it works that way too. So that which is a tool against you can also be a tool for you. It just depends on who's wielding it. One thing I like, I used to always, because coming out of the idea of being Christian, it was like, this is a slave master's religion. When I turned the corner and realized, I know who I am now. So what is this now? It's quite a great tool. And I like this tool because that tool tells us what to do. So I'm going to say what you just said. He brought it up, not me. What did the God of the Bible say? He said, I got a son. I'm going to send him for the killers, for the adulterers, everybody. But there's one group I'm not saving that for my son. I'm going to take care of this myself. For the men in Sodom, look, this is God. Look, brother, my arms ain't long enough to box with God. Okay. I'm just saying God in the Bible said in this place where the men wanted men so much that when Lot offered his daughter who had not known man, you can have my daughter to do what you want, but don't do it to these men. The men said, we don't want her, we want that. When the homophilia and degeneracy and reprobate mind got so bad that was the order of the day, and when the women there were doing the same thing those women were doing in the mall, running up to this gay dude and supporting this kind of filth, God said, I ain't saving that for Jesus. When I come as man, when I'm born as man, I'm not going to be dealing with that. This one is on me. And he said, how am I going to do it? Am I going to do it with water and a flood? Nah, I've done it before. Nah. Am I going to do it with wind? That's not intense enough. Am I going to do it with air? Tornado? Nah. I'm going to take the most intense of all the elements. And this is how bad God didn't like Sodom and Gomorrah. And I'm saying this because I'm really speaking for myself. But it's not me, it's God. This is how much as African people, we're going to be just like the God of the Bible. You try to come and burn our daughters, you got that wrong. We're not the ones that burn. He burned everything. He said, Lot, because you fought against it, I'm going to let you go. Take your family. The birds, the trees, the men, the women, the babies, the crickets, everything going to burn to ash. And what I'm saying as Africans, that is our personality. We love as black men our women. Black women love black men. We love that balance. We know what to do with it. We've been doing it from the beginning. We're not going to negotiate with homophiles. You're not going to be, I want people to hear this. We're not going to forget a group of LGBT thought that they could come and burn our daughters alive.
Now, I want you to connect that with what we were talking about earlier, population control.
So, if you have the boys with boys and the girls with girls, how many children are you producing?
I think it's President Museveni who said he was going to put two men in a room, lock it up, and only open it up when they get a child.
That's right. What we have to realize is, and it what makes me so proud to be an African. When I was in the West, when I was young in my 20s, and we were fighting this, I knew that it wasn't our culture. So I was proud that as African people, Asar and Aset, our original story was balanced. But what makes me so proud to this day, I was a little depressed because they've really put it on us in the West, pushing this behavior. But I saw Africa standing up. I was proud, but I didn't realize, because I saw some places wavering on the African continent too. But what made me really proud was to realize, we are the strongest resistance to this behavior on the planet. What I'm saying is that when we show the world how to resist this, we're not taking anybody else's instructions. We heard their side of it. You're going to burn our daughters alive. Ain't no sunshine when she gone. You can't take, I got a daughter. No, we don't do it like that. So that's the game we playing. When we've said it with words, we're going to do it differently now. I'm here. We're going to say, okay, that's what you want to do? Zero tolerance for people that rape our children. This ain't Sodom and Gomorrah here. But if you want it to be, it can be. We're not going to play. Ain't no men going to be frolicking around with men and boys. Women, we're not doing that. We're not going to tolerate it. And we're not going to negotiate with it. And the rest of the world, as opposed to us going and getting weapons from people who are better at doing it, we're going to show the world what the best way to fight against this filthy, putrid, sick, decadent, sordid misbehavior is. To be men, stand up. We're not even going to tolerate what our women say in disagreement with this. We as men are going to show the world what real men do when people come and attack your culture. We're going to eliminate this from our continent.
Now, here comes another ideology. They are calling it Childfree, and it's being practiced or justified under the view that you cannot have children amidst poverty. Yet, we just talked a great deal about the condition of the slaves, the condition that black people were in during slavery and during colonialism. Basically, the pinnacle of poverty. Yet people are having children under those kinds of circumstances. So what is it about this poverty, present day poverty, that would justify people not having children?
Excellent question. You're an excellent interviewer. When the objective was to have more black hands picking more cotton and more sugar cane, they encouraged us to have as many children as possible because that was the objective, to enrich them. Today's world objective is the extermination of the world population, in particular, the fastest growing population on the planet. The only people with a positive birth rate on the planet are African people at this point, from what I understand. We have the highest birth rate in the only continent that has an increasing birth rate. They want to stop that. So now, instead of, these hands are not being used to pick their cotton. These hands are being used, like the AES, to develop black infrastructure, to bring groups together and unify, to become militarily sovereign, to grow our own food. That's not their design. So they want to eliminate our people. And so now the best way to do it is to convince us so that they don't have to come kill the children. They don't have to poison them, just don't have them being produced. Just convince you as a black boy that you're too poor to have a woman and a child, even though your food is right out there. And then, of course, to supplement that, remember, this is why it's when you learn how this system works, it's deep. To supplement them telling you that you're too poor, then they come in and buy off your leaders and tell your leaders, look, don't use the seeds that your ancestor gave you that are free. Just use our GMO seeds. Now you can't grow anything. Once you put this in the soil, nothing will grow until you come buy some new seeds from us. So now we control what you can eat, and we can make the decision you can't even eat. So if you change your mind tomorrow, I think we should have more children. We got enough food. Maybe you don't have any food anymore because I now control it. See, they don't just tell you not to have children, child-free, but then they supplement it by creating conditions, falsely manufactured conditions, give you leaders who take everything for themselves, every piece of land. They can't even do anything with all the land. But you can't go grow anything on the land and go sell it and make a living in agriculture, even though we're agricultural people. And you're the hub of agriculture in East Africa. We talk all the time. Tell people, Uganda and Kenya literally could feed the world. I'm not saying we should. We got to feed ourselves. But I'm saying there's enough land, arable land and soil, and it's so rich and fertile, you could feed the world. And then if you add Congo on it, it's the most fertile region of the planet, or it could be argued that. So there's no reason for poverty except we got to deal with this. The condition of African people, just like we talked about Haiti, it's a war condition. They're people who don't want us strong. And that's something that from the day our children come out, we should teach them not to depress them, but we should tell them, you're going to be strong. And there are people out there that don't want it to happen. Some of them look like you, most of them don't, and you're going to defeat them. We need to know we are living in a state of war, and we can enjoy each other and be calm and comfortable if we do it from a young age and still understand we're in a state of war. That's what life is about, and we're going to win.